How's everybody doing today? This is Rogue Nation TV's second podcast. I'm Toaster McNoaster taking the stage. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Alright, let's get started. That was purely for my self-esteem. I actually did some research before I made this image you see right now. The cool blue is supposed to represent tranquility and understanding in 3 out of 5 people in America. And I guess that could be debatable. Well, you know what's not debatable? The topic for today's podcast. So today we're going to be talking about some social injustice and specifically around the white privilege and maybe some of the gender inequalities that's been happening for the past, decades. But I feel like I can represent this information to mostly everyone because I'm only one sociology class in, and I like to think that me being a normal person, which now has somewhat of, social aspects being taught to me throughout the last semester I've had, I feel like I could kind of channel that into making my older self understand and thus hoping you guys could understand as well. But first things first, this is an entertainment network, Rogue Nation TV. We love to make people laugh, so this is not to be discriminatory or any type of negative aspect towards anybody watching this because we love you. Our first work is Understanding White Privilege, and it is written by Peggy McIntosh. Who better to learn about white privilege than someone studying male privilege, right? But anyway, she was pretty much just studying the phenomenon of male privilege in social institutions and noticed that not only are there gender or age biases, but also racial biases as well. And I mean, I'm sure that was apparent beforehand, but she wasn't looking for that. She wasn't taught that. And I'm going to quote her right here. It says, "I think whites are carefully taught not to recognize white privilege, as males are taught not to..." I think whites are carefully taught not to recognize white privilege, as males are taught not to recognize male privilege. And I think that quote right there kind of underlines about these social institutions talking about university schools, K through 12 schools that kind of wash over us to not recognize all the stuff in the media, all the stuff going on day to day that has male privilege and has white privilege in them, but we see that as just a regular day by day exercises. Alright, to let you kind of understand how this goes along with social cohesion and how everything works in society, let me tell you about the functionalist perspective. So functionalism is pretty much a perspective in sociology how everything is structured, everything has perfect structure, and that's why social life has happened and progressed throughout the ages. And it's all centered around everything being so stable and perfect and in its own nook. Being a functionalist has its perks, but also it has its downfalls, because while being a functionalist will make it to where you want to make everything be stable and in its little nook and cranny, you also are not open to thoughts of progression. And the functionalists are actually the people that enjoy these privileges and enjoy these inequalities, because this will keep reiterating the, social stability. And if there's one thing that everybody knows people dislike, and that's change. So stability is key to keeping everybody happy and orderly in society. Now, Toaster, why are you telling us this? What the hell do we care about the functionalist theory? Well, to that I say, keep your non-discriminatory panties on and I'll tell you. Alright, you beautiful people, the functionalist theory, honestly, in my mind, the way that I think about it, is pretty much the only honest argument against giving everybody equality. And by equality, that's not just legal or political, that's just social equality. And that is the, basis around these, white privilege, everything. Like, we just need to understand that the functionalists, the people that make our laws for the most part, the, snooty, awesome, rich white people that evidently tell us how we should live, they don't like change, and they put it into our mind that we don't like change. I'm part of this new generation that's hopefully going to change this for the better. But for you listening in, just realize that most of what we know today is based off of something that has to do with the functionalist theory, that everything needs to be in its own nook and cranny, the way that we go about life to maintain social order. And that right there is the reason why there's just a perfect loop of inequalities going on right now. Letting all that sink in, let's hop over to our second mini topic, that is, gender inequality. And I just recently watched Misrepresentation, MISS Representation. It is on Netflix. I'm sure that you can find it on other media sources. fellas. This movie right here, or I'm sorry, it's like an hour and 30-minute short film, kind of documentary style. It completely underlines why the media is poisoning our ideas of not only women, but also and political institutions. If you're not skinny or beautiful beyond even recognition, or probably beyond my skills in Photoshop, then you don't get shit out of the world. Congratulations, go die in a hole. That's pretty much what our media is telling us. And not only to women, media as in movies, TV shows, and even the internet has sexualized women so much that that's what men are looking for. Unrealistic women bodies that they will probably never find or could possibly never find in nature. And this is making, younger generations of women self-harm and be depressed over something that is done just to advertise. It's all about advertisement. But Toaster, why do I give a shit? Because I frankly don't care about any of that. Well, the reason that you should give a shit is the same reason why I give a shit, and that's because we're being lied to. And not only are we being lied to, but other people are suffering hardcore because we are being lied to. I understand realism, but whenever, our media is feeding us bullshit, and, we're spooning it in by the boatloads. Like, oh, yeah, we can totally land a girl that looks like that model. Oh, my God, that chick on that movie was so hot. And then we are presented with reality, which isn't even at the same level coherent with what we're seeing in the media. Like, that's just a big middle finger. And then you have all these young women and even some young men that go to grave lengths of eating disorders or mental disabilities, and where they just think that they're worthless and they're never going to amount to anything, never be happy, never get anything, or have any type of position and power. And that goes back to the functionalist theory, because everything is in perfect stability, so we do not want to mess up the rotation of oppression for our young women and children. But how do we change this? And that, I believe, is going to be the question of the day. And if you would like to comment down below, how do we change the inequalities happening in our social institutions and on the media without bringing social instability? And also, I would like to point out that in the beginning of the video, I was wearing a Rogue Nation TV shirt. These are on sale. You can go to our Facebook, facebook.com/Rogue Nation TV. You can check them out. We have a bunch of different designs by now. We're working on a better summer design, and then we're working on some more winter designs and fall designs for the cold weather that's going to be coming after summer. But this has been Toaster McNoaster, aka Cody. I want to say thank you for checking out this podcast. I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to make anybody feel less important or less intelligent than they actually are. I love everybody, and thank you for following Rogue Nation TV. I'll see you in the next stream. Peace. Dude, my voice sounds like shit.